welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. We're talking about the non-Hallmark Christmas movies that aired over the Thanksgiving weekend. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. We got a lot of movies to talk about. I'm film critic Rachel Wagner. Michelle's here.
Hey everyone.
And I know it hasn't been that long, but it feels like forever since we last talked, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think because there's so many movies as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I've not even watched anywhere near as much as you,
Yeah, it was
especially
like
this week.
35
But
movies ago.
yeah. I think I've watched one of the Thanksgiving ones from Hallmark. That's all I was able to fit in. It's just been so busy.
So
I think
busy.
just working full time as well. It's just
Yeah.
really, taking up all of my time.
Yeah.
So
Well, and especially if you're working retail, that's
Mm-hmm.
brutal.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
it's brutal. And yeah, it's frustrating because I have to sort of cram all of whatever I want to watch into 2 days. And because it's sort of the height of the Christmas TV
Mm-hmm.
movie season, it's just all Christmas movies.
Yeah. Well,
So I haven't
see,
watched anything. Like all my friends are texting me like, have you watched Wednesday yet? And I'm like, No. I haven't watched anything
yeah,
apart from
forget
Christmas
that.
movies since October.
Yeah, well, and I've had the award season screeners to watch as well because our nominations for Utah Film Critics Association are due on the 13th. So that means we have to have basically everything watched in order to vote, with any kind of legitimacy in order to nominate, I guess. Then the voting is on the 17th for our winners.
Mhm.
So it's we're running out of time. And so somehow I've managed to watch everything and also have my entire Facebook life erased. So
Yeah, that's horrible.
unbelievable. And so that we're actually, full disclosure, we're recording this on a Wednesday. We usually record it on a Saturday, but I hadn't watched hardly anything by Saturday because or Sunday, because I was dealing with all this and still don't go to our Facebook page because we have not been able to access it or update it. It's a mess, but yeah. And of course it had to happen the busiest weekend of my life.
Oh my God, it's so horrible. It's so horrible. I hope we get it
Yeah.
fixed. It's
Uh,
like,
I'm not optimistic at this point. Like the fact I have not heard anything. I've not been able to reach a single human being at Meta or Instagram or Facebook. I've tried everything I could think of. If any of you out there listening works for Meta or can help me, please do. I would be so grateful. But anyway, yeah, so that was an unexpected hiccup in my life. But we have 13 movies that we're going to be talking about. Lifetime, we have Netflix, we have Disney Plus, BET, all over. Unbelievable.
yeah, every streaming service has a Christmas movie. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
several Christmas movies.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch it because I ran out of time, but there was even one on QVC on their website. You could watch an original Hallmark, not Hallmark, original holiday film on QVC. But maybe next week
You're like, no, thank you.
next week I'll try to catch up on that one. But anyway, let's dive in. Let's talk about one of the Lifetime movies. Over this holiday weekend, we had 4 Lifetime movies. So let's talk about the first one that aired. Let's talk about Baking All the Way. This stars Corey Lee and Yannick Bisson. Directed by Yannick, writer Courtney McAllister, and it's when Julia Wilson, an accomplished pastry chef, heads to a small town to complete her Christmas cookbook. She butts heads with Chris Thompson, the owner of the town's bakery. And we had Corey Lee on the podcast. I've been a big fan of hers for a long time. This was really exciting for her to get her first lead. And overall, for me at least, I thought this was sweet. It is pretty basic. of your, city girl coming to the country. The bakery is going to go out of business, getting it has a lot of those tropes, but overall I still thought it was cute. I enjoyed it. What did you think, Michelle?
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, I agree it was sort of the most sort of middle of the road, sort of didn't do anything that really surprised me.
Mm-hmm.
To say that I didn't enjoy it, I feel like it's a perfectly acceptable,
Yeah.
Christmas movie. It's definitely one that you could just sort of put on and relax and yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't really. I would have liked them to be well. In fact, I actually did like that they kind of got down to business like straight away. Like they put all their cards on the table right away. She was like, "I need your recipe. Like, how do we figure it out?" And
Mm-hmm.
that kind of so that wasn't like a surprise. We
Yeah.
did have a little bit of a misunderstanding towards the end, but there wasn't any sort of that right up the front of like keeping a secret. That's sort of a trope that I really don't like. That there's a secret
Right.
being kept the whole way through the movie. So I liked that. She was very upfront about what she needed from them.
That's true. And I was worried going into it with the age difference between Yannick and Corey, but that didn't really factor in for me, at least, because I think she feels she could be, because she could read older to me.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
I didn't have a problem with that.
yeah. I didn't even really notice. Yeah.
Hmm.
I do know him from Murder Mysteries. I think everybody knows him
Uh-huh.
from that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's hard sometimes when you see somebody in a role for that long and then you see
Right.
them sort of outside that. I haven't really seen them outside of that, you know, Murder Mysteries part than
Hmm.
you really ever. So yeah, it was a little bit hard for me to sort of get my head around him playing somebody
Hmm.
somebody else.
Yeah, and they had her write her own original Christmas song for the movie. So that's kind of fun. And if you go on Spotify, you can listen to her Christmas song. And so that's fun because she's a musician as well as a actress. But I would say that I think this is a pretty good start for her,
Hmm.
and that I could see her, if they keep using her, see her even making even more and better Christmas movies. Like this was like a base hit, and let's keep using her and keep doing more.
Yeah, yeah, she's definitely like leading lady material for these
Yeah.
movies. Like so charming, like right off the bat.
Hmm.
So yeah, I really, really hope that Lifetime keeps using her,
Hmm.
or like, or
Yeah.
Hallmark.
Yeah, and if y'all haven't checked out the interview, you definitely should. She was a lot of fun, and her husband Ish Morris is in a bunch of these as well, and so it's fun to hear about them working together and hearing about that. So, what would you give this one, 1 to 5?
I'd give it a 3. I'm just gonna go straight down the middle with it.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I would give it to. Okay, so then I will talk about one of the BT movies. So we'll talk about the Christmas Clapback. This on the 24th, and it's got Nadine Ellis, Portia Coleman, Candace Maxwell, and more. And it's every year the 3 Miles sisters, Jasmine, Kira, and Tisha, battle each other for a chance to win the neighborhood Christmas church cook-off competition. But when Aaliyah, the vivacious social media influencer, enters the competition, the sisters must choose to rise together or fall divided. So this movie, I have to say, you could feel the budget on this one compared to even other BET ones. The sound mix was really bad. It didn't even sound professionally recorded at times. Like you could hear echoes, and it was just not great as far as the sound. And the story was fine. I mean, I like Nadine Ellis. We have her on the podcast coming actually tomorrow. The interview will post. She's super fun. But yeah, the the story kind of continues on this trend I'm seeing with BET, where they love having kind of melodrama and like cat fighting and love triangles, and so you have to kind of know what you're getting into. And that's certainly true here. You have this sort of catty woman, Aaliyah, who is trying to show up on the other women and the sort of men that they're all fighting over, and so you have to kind of like that type of story,
Mhm.
with the catty women and everything. And it's okay. This one, I just wish it had been better made. It was a little bit hard for me, but I guess if you go into knowing that, then that might not be a barrier. So, but I would give this one a 2 out of 5. So let's talk about another Lifetime. We have Stepping Into the Holiday. And this stars Jana Kramer, Mario Lopez, Cherry O'Terry, director David Kendall, and writer Elisa and Peter Marietta. And it follows Broadway star Billie Holiday, who meets Ray, the charismatic owner of a local dance studio. And after Billie volunteers to help Ray with a dance recital fundraiser, their collaboration clicks and romantic sparks start flying. So overall, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, it's a little confusing, the description, because I thought that Ray was the Broadway star and he was sort of the TV host. Yeah, so it's like,
Yeah, it was
is that the right
confusing.
movie? Yeah, it's like, is this the right movie?
As I was reading it, I was like, what?
Maybe they changed it.
Because they know each other, right? I mean, isn't he
Yeah.
coming back to his small town? It's not like the way they make it sound here that
Mhm.
who meets Ray, the charismatic, like he was from that town, right? Or am I hallucinating?
No, he was from that town.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I know he's done a few of these, am I right there? And he's done like a couple of Lifetime movies before Mario Lopez.
Yes. Yeah, he did the Sweet and it was a Sweet Nutty Shop or something. What was it? He did one that was a toy shop.
Mhm. Yeah, I haven't seen
And
any.
then the New Mexico one last year.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of those, so it was a little bit hard for me because I do just think of him as Saved by, he's very much just in that Saved by the Bell world for me. I know he's like a massive, TV host in the States, but again, like,
Have you not seen Holiday in Handcuffs?
I haven't, no.
Melissa Joan Hart. It's totally ridiculous. I mean, it really is a horror movie, but it's really funny. It's really fun. It's
On it.
I think it was on ABC Family / Freeform
Okay.
when it aired, so it wasn't Hallmark,
Oh,
but
they can be a little bit more risky
yeah.
then. That's on Freeform.
Yeah, and she basically abducts him in order
Okay.
for him to pretend that that he's her boyfriend. For her
Extreme,
family.
okay.
It's ridiculous, but it's a pretty popular one. This one, I mean, the story was fine. I mean, it didn't, and I didn't like love the chemistry. I wasn't totally feeling it, but I did love all the dancing. I thought that was so fun.
Yeah, that's the thing that really surprised me about this movie, because like I said, I only really see him as sort of the Saved by the Bell guy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that he had all of this in him. So I think if you're, a little bit like me and you haven't really seen him outside of, the sort of stuff that you grew up watching him in, then I would definitely check this out. He's got a lot of charm, and it wasn't too sort of heavy-handed. Like I feel like yeah.
Well,
Sorry.
both Jana Kramer and Mario Lopez were on Dancing with Stars, and Mario Lopez almost won. He got very, very far into it to the finals, and he lost. He got second place. I forget who he lost to, but yeah. So a lot of people know him from dancing because of that.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, for me, the big draw was Jana because of One Tree Hill. Like, we're so sort of starved for One Tree Hill cast members in Christmas movies this year. I think we've got Jana and we've got Tyler. I think he's doing a CBS one. But that's pretty much all we've got. Oh no, we had oh god, we had someone in the Southern Family one on Hallmark.
Kelly.
Yeah. So yeah, I was definitely like excited to sort of check this out just because I really do like her. And I liked the movie last year, and yeah, I agree the chemistry wasn't great, but I really feel like the best part of this movie was his family. I feel like all of that was really well done, and him sort of passing on his knowledge to his nephew was done really
Yeah.
well, and the relationship between him and his sister was so fun. So yeah, that was definitely the highlight for me, and also the dancing.
Yeah, the dancing was so fun. I
Uh, it,
really enjoyed that.
yeah, it reminded me a little bit of the sort of Corbin Blue moment and his one.
Yes. Yeah, or like in the Christmas waltz when they're
Hmm.
waltzing down the street.
Yeah, well, I don't think anything will call that one. That
No.
one is special.
But in the same kind of feeling of it.
Yes,
You know, the
yes.
whimsy of it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would give this one 3.5.
Yeah, I'll go with 3.75.
Mm-hmm. From the creator of the #1 Christmas podcast comes a new book to surprise and delight you into a happier holiday season. Christmas Past, the fascinating stories behind our favorite holidays traditions by Brian Earl, is out now just in time for the holidays. Available in hardcover and ebook from Lions Press and as an audiobook narrated by the author from Recorded Books, behind every Christmas tradition is a story, often a forgotten one. When we pour the eggnog and trim the tree, we're continuing generations-old narratives without knowing their starting chapters. Until now, Brian Earl brings the same wide-eyed fascination and cozy nostalgia from the podcast to the book. Featuring 26 short chapters and eye-catching graphics, you'll want to have it on your coffee table or mantle all season long. Find out why Apple Books named Christmas Past a must-listen and get a copy today wherever books are sold. Remember, it makes a great gift. Find out more at ChristmasPastPodcast.com. That's ChristmasPastPodcast.com. Plus, we have Mickey Saves Christmas. This is a short, I think it's 22 minutes. And it's, of course, got all your favorite Mickey and Minnie and Goofy and everybody. And it's in this stop motion holiday special. Mickey, Minnie, and their pals attempt to celebrate the perfect Christmas at their snowy cabin. However, when Pluto causes Santa to lose all the presents on his sleigh, the friends travel to the North Pole on a quest to save Christmas and find the true meaning of the holiday. So this one is very highly likely I was going to enjoy this. I mean, I love stop motion and I love Mickey, and to have both of them together, I just thought was adorable. The stop motion animation and this was so cute. I loved it. And the story was cute. You know, basically the Santa, it's not that the reindeer are magic, it's that the what do you call it, the bridle, kind of, I don't know if that's what it's called, but the thing that goes on top of the reindeer,
Mm-hmm.
that's what is magic, and Pluto gets that on top of him, so then he ends up riding the sleigh, and they end up losing, I think it's Prancer, so then they have to go back and find Prancer. So it was just cute, and they had like a couple songs, and so if you like classic Mickey Mouse and you like stop motion, and there's such a tradition in Christmas of these sort of animated stop motion shorts, you know, with the Rankin Bass for so many years, Rudolph and things like that. And so for Disney to do this, I just thought it was really special and very sweet. So, and it's hard to rank because it's so different than the rest of the stuff we talked about, but I would give it like a, I don't know, 4.5. I really thought it was a sweet, fun little addition to the Christmas lineup.
Yeah, I was hoping to watch this one, but it's not on UK Disney Plus for some
Mm,
reason, so that's unfortunate.
yeah, that's too bad. But let's talk about the next Lifetime. So we have the 12 Days of Christmas Eve. This stars Kelsey Grammer and Spencer Grammer. And it's when Brian Conway, a successful businessman whose family relationships have suffered, gets in a car accident on Christmas Eve. Santa gives him 12 chances to redo the day and repair the relationships in his life, including with his daughter, Michelle. So this one for me, I was pleasantly surprised by it. I just didn't know how it would turn out.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked it. I thought that both Kelsey and Spencer Grammer were both really good, and it's kind of cool that the real life father daughter, they both did well, and they managed to make him legitimately learn something new every day, and they did have some humor with every way he dies. I thought it was fun. uh, and overall, it was just very heartwarming and sweet, and what you want out of a Christmas movie. And I liked it. What did you think?
Yeah, I was really excited for this. I really like Spencer. She was fantastic. If you've not seen Greek, which is I think
Oh,
one of the first like freeform shows. Um, it's sort of set throughout our college, sort of covers the 4 years of
uh-huh.
college. It's so good. It's one of the best sort of young adult shows sort of out there. So yeah, if you've not seen Greek, go watch it. And I don't understand why she's not been in more of these sort of Christmas movies because she seems sort of made
Yeah,
for them. Yeah, she's definitely got like this sort of attitude and the look for
yeah.
types of movies.
I'd never seen her before. And
Really?
yeah, I'd
Mm-hmm.
never seen her before. And so I thought, oh, is this going to be stunt casting, just because it's father
Oh
daughter?
yeah,
But
yeah.
no, she was good.
Yeah. And Greek was a while ago. So yeah,
Yeah.
she's been working for a long time. And yeah, I was a little bit concerned because even though I was excited because I wasn't sure what the tone was going to be, but I feel like they balanced it so well. Like when it had to be sort of madcap and sort of crazy and all of the ridiculous ways that they kill him, and then sort of switching back to the more sort of serious parts where we need to have him sort of learn a lesson and sort of take it into the next day.
Yeah.
um I feel like they balanced that really well, and it didn't really lose me emotionally sort of throughout it because it was a lot of back and forth of him sort of getting frustrated and sort of deciding to sort of give up and then sort of recommitting back into like I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure out what's the right way to spend this day.
Hmm.
um I feel like they just did it really well, and it really surprised me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was really, really pleasantly surprised with this one.
Yeah. And I feel like this would be a good one to show people that maybe don't like these Christmas movies because it's not a romance at all.
Hmm.
It's a family story. And so I
Family,
think
yeah.
a lot of people would like this that maybe don't like the romances.
Yeah, and I feel
Mm,
like Kelsey just sort of elevates it, because
yeah.
he is such a fantastic actor that he can really
Mm,
sell those sort of ridiculous moments. Um, and I thought the little girl playing his granddaughter, and Spencer's daughter
hmm.
was really, really well cast
Yeah, she was
and
good.
really well used. Yeah,
I agree. I agree. Yeah, what would you give this one?
I'm going to give this a 4.
Agreed. That's what I would give it to. All right. So next, I'm going to talk about another of the B team movies. This is called The Sound of Christmas. This stars Neo and Soraya, and it's a down on her luck music teacher leads a wealthy widower away from his gold digging girlfriend and back to love and music during the Christmas holidays. That is not a very good description. Basically, in this movie, I mean, you do have the gold digger. Like I said, they love that kind of thing these movies. Gold digger, really catty women, kind of a thing fighting over a man. You have that here, except that she is hired as his nanny for his kids.
Mhm.
And the kids are kind of trouble. It's basically, you're kind of your Mary Poppins, your Sound of Music, kind of setup thing. And as they like work together, then they start having feelings for each other, and then the gold digging girlfriend gets more jealous. So you've got all that dynamic, and it has a lot of music though. If you like um gospel type music. It's got a lot of music, and I enjoyed that. Yeah, it is actually faith based. You wouldn't get that from that description. She quits her job at the beginning of the movie, and she also leaves her boyfriend. She leaves her boyfriend at the beginning of the movie because she's not comfortable living with him, and she wants to get married. And it's pretty explicit that like she has because of her faith in God, she doesn't want to have sex before marriage, and things like that, which fine. But anyway, it's just like actually talked about as far as her turning to Jesus and all of that. So if that's not your jam, being pretty explicitly faith-based, and her having major problems with the fact that the Neo character, that he doesn't want to go to church, is a big problem for her. So, that's just, if that's your thing, then you'll enjoy that. And I don't know, it wasn't like the best, but it wasn't the worst either. I'd probably give it a 3.
Okay.
Okay. So then we have The Last of the Lifetime for this weekend. It's a Christmas spark. This stars Jane Seymour, Joe Lando, and it's director Rhonda Baraka and writer Irene Donahue, and it tells the story of recently widowed Molly, who decides to visit her daughter for Christmas. She signs on to direct the town's Christmas pageant and falls for Hank, the town's most eligible bachelor. So what did you think overall of this one?
Yeah, my expectations were like sky high for this one, just because it was Joe and Jane, just that sort of reunion of those two. I would definitely say out of when the Lifetime first put the slate out, this was the one at the top of my list of like, I hope this is good. And I was really pleasantly surprised by it, because you don't typically see a romance movie between actors of this age, let's be honest. Anytime we do see that, it's always sort of a second chance romance side story in a Lifetime movie or a Hallmark movie between like the grandparents or the parents. So we don't typically see it being sort of as explicit. We also don't see the daughter not having an issue with her mother sort of moving on. Like the fact that she's so supportive throughout the entire movie, it was just very well done, and all of the sort of issues about their romance really came from Molly's insecurities and not from any sort of outside influence, because everybody, including her daughter, was so supportive of it. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It wasn't spectacular in any sort of like big way where I could sort of point to and say they did this sort of differently or whatever, but just in terms of my expectations and what I wanted, it definitely exceeded them.
Yeah, I agree. And Sarah Smythe, who I love her. She's always fun. She plays the daughter, and I agree with you. I was expecting her to be kind of all huffy, but if anything, she's like encouraging of it. She's like, "Get out of my house, please go."
Yeah,
which was fun. And she encourages us, like, what's stopping you from being with Hank? And I kind of feel like, yes, it's a very fast relationship, but I feel like when you're older, you're more experienced, what you want, what you like. And so I don't think it would necessarily take like all this time. I feel like in a couple of weeks of spending time together, you could be like, okay, this is worth giving it a shot. This has potential. And I feel like that's what they did.
Yeah, and I feel like when you have a character like Jane's playing Molly, where she's lost her husband, she knows how quickly life can change and how things can sort of be taken away from you, and so it definitely makes sense for her character to just sort of, once she gets used to the idea of being in a relationship with somebody else, that she would just sort of go for it.
Yeah, I agree. And their chemistry was just so great. It was as good as I was hoping it would be.
You can tell that they are like, in each other's lives and have been for a long time. There's just definitely like an ease between them.
Yeah. And they had like really fun scenes, like him taking her on the motorcycle and just getting really cozy. They had a good first kiss in this, I thought.
Yeah.
It was good. So what would you give this 1 to 5?
I would give it a 4.5.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like 4.25, 4.5, something like that. It was really fun. I'd watch it
Hmm.
again for sure.
Yeah,
Uh okay.
going to be keeping.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk about the last of the BT movies. So this was Holiday Hideaway, and this stars Camille Wimbush, Vivica A. Fox, Leonard Earl Howes, Rodney Van Johnson, and it's Carly is the queen of holiday celebrations, but her mistletoe misstep sends her running to a holiday hideaway that teaches her the importance of family forgiveness and fighting for love. I wouldn't say that it was her holiday what did they call it? A misstep. It was she gets really upset because she makes this huge Thanksgiving dinner and then something happens. She gets pulled away from the table and she comes back and they've like already eaten. And so she's just like, you couldn't wait after all this work. You couldn't wait a little bit for me to be there. So she gets really mad, really upset. And she has her boyfriend, I guess, her partner wants to get married, but she doesn't want to because her parents had this horrible divorce and her dad is like there at Thanksgiving dinner with this gold digging girlfriend. Again, they love those kind of things in these movies. And she
About to say
just
there's been a lot of those
yeah,
gold diggers in these movies. Everyone.
yes, yes. Uh, but at least I guess at least there was no love triangle in this one because there was no one out there trying to get her man or anything like that. But so yeah, so she kind of storms off and they break up and whatever. And then so she the rest of the movie is her kind of learning to accept her family and for all their eccentricities. I do think this is probably one of the better ones, maybe because it doesn't have quite that much cattiness, and I think most of us can relate to that feeling of being stressed out, your family being frustrating during the holidays. So yeah, I'd probably give this one like a 3.5. Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Guardians of the Galaxy, the holiday special on Disney Plus. And this has Chris Pratt, Dave Bautista, Bradley Cooper, Karen Gillan, Palm Clementine. She should be the lead. She's the lead in this. She should be the first one on the list. But
Yeah.
it's Star-Lord, Drax, Rocket, Mantis, and Groot engaged in some spirited shenanigans. Basically, what that summary doesn't show is that that Mantis and Drax decide to get Star-Lord, get Peter a perfect Christmas because his Christmas was ruined by Yondu spoiling everything. And so they decide that they are going to abduct Kevin Bacon and give him Kevin Bacon for Christmas. And the whole thing ends up being really cute, really charming. I really appreciated them making Mantis a better character, giving her moment in the sun, because I thought she was very very good and I liked it, especially she was treated so badly in Guardians 2. just made fun of the whole time. And so I appreciate this. And I loved the Christmas aesthetic with Guardians of the Galaxy. That really fit well, all the music. What did you think of it?
Enjoyed it. I will be honest, like, I'm not a fan of Peter Quill, so that was a little bit like nervous about that. Outside of the first Guardians of the Galaxy, I really don't like him. He's one of my least favorite like MCU characters. I just find them frustrating.
Well,
and
there's
also
no doubt in Infinity War. I mean, he is
oh
incredibly
my god,
frustrating.
yeah, so annoying. Yeah, and I do like Chris Pratt. Prior to sort of movie star Chris Pratt, where it feels like he's sort of playing, the same character. Like, it's sort of crazy to me that the guy in Parks and Recreation is this Chris Pratt, because it just feels like that guy just had so much more depth and so much more. It's just a little frustrating to sort of see him play the same thing when I know that he's capable of doing, what he did on Parks.
Right.
But I was a little bit kind of like, I don't really know. And then when it started, and I was like, this is actually about, Mantis and Drax. And I actually think what Guardians, what James Gunn did with Yondu and Peter's relationship was one of the most like emotionally like gut punch type of relationships that he has ever been in the MCU. Like, it was totally unexpected, that father son bond. Like, for me, like, it just was so devastating, and I feel like the way that they tied it in here was also done really well without sort of taking away from what they'd already done. I agree, the music worked really well. The actual like Christmas decorations and aesthetic that they used on the Nowhere planet was unbelievable. Like, it, just even on my little TV, it looked incredible. And I do love the little side sort of adventure with Mantis and Drax. I feel like they had a really good dynamic.
And I was
and
glad
I
that
enjoyed
Drax
it.
didn't just like make fun of her the whole time like he did
Yeah,
in Guardians too.
I agree with that.
I'm not I'm not the biggest Guardians 2 fan. I just don't like the ego plot very much, and a lot of, I don't know, I have issues with it, but I do think the Yondu part of it is strong, so I will agree with you there.
Yeah, and I thought the way that they did the animation was also really creative and unexpected. And I will say, like, I love Kevin Bacon. Like, Kevin Bacon at this point in his life where he's just so like in on the joke, and his own sort of cult status. Like, he's so aware of it, and he's so like, you get a lot of actors that sort of try to escape that, whereas he's like talking about his Friday the 13th movie and all of the sort of ridiculous 80s movies that he was a part of. So like, I love Kevin Bacon, and he's really big here for some reason. He's on like a TV ad here for mobile phones.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he must get like millions for it. He must make so much money. Yeah, he must make so much money for it. But he plays that sort of exaggerated version of himself in those ads. So it's more of that in this, I think. I think for what it was and for the length, like 45-minute, special, I feel like they accomplished a lot, and I feel like the emotional payoff between Mantis and Peter was really, really well done in the end.
Well, I mean,
I think
it's interesting because the MCU films have gotten so bloated, so long, and so it was interesting to me to see how much story they really managed to fit in 45 minutes.
Yeah, and I feel like they've gotten so big that they sort of forget that we want these sort of character building moments. We want these just one-on-one moments with characters, and not just this bloated of like how many MCU actors or characters can we fit into a movie.
Right.
Didn't used to go to these movies just for the cameos, where it feels like that's what we do now. It's so frustrating. And I think the actual TV shows have been really good for that. No, they do have their sort of cameos and their Easter eggs. I feel like they're very sort of grounded. And I feel like MCU sort of needs to get back to that a little bit.
Yeah. I have to
hard
admit,
because
they
they're
kind of they lost me this year. I'd done such a good job of keeping up with everything. And then pretty much Moon Knight and Miss Marvel, and I didn't watch any of She-Hulk. I'm just too busy to watch all of these shows. I'm so behind.
yeah.
So
I mean, even me, like, even if I can't keep up with the TV shows, I've always kept up with the movies, and I
yeah,
haven't
yeah.
seen Black Panther yet. Usually, I would go on opening weekend, and
Right.
it's just not mine anymore, and I haven't seen it, and it's devastating because it is one of the MCU movies where it's not as connected to everything else because it has its own
Right.
universe. So I knew that I was going to be a massive fan of it as much as I was the first one, which was one of my favorite MCU movies ever. But yeah, it's just frustrating. There's just so many of these things to keep up with now.
Yeah. Well, what would you give it, this one, 1 to 5?
I would give it a 4, which is way more than I thought I was going to give it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good score. All right. Next, we have from Netflix, The Noel Diary. And this stars Justin Hartley and Barrett Doss and Essence Adkins. And it's when best-selling author Jake Turner returns home at Christmas to settle his estranged mother's estate, he discovers a diary that may hold secrets to his own past and that of Rachel, an intriguing young woman on a mission of her own. Together, they embark on a journey to confront their past and discover a future that's totally unexpected. Well, basically, in this movie, you have him. He's like this famous author, as they say. And he's coming back home. His mother, they didn't have a relationship. She was a hoarder. So there's like a lot of work to do to get the house ready. And he meets this Rachel person. And it turns out that Rachel's mother was a friend of his mother's. And she had the baby and they gave the baby up for adoption. And so, or placed the baby up for adoption. And then they find this diary that her mother wrote to her, and then they're reading it. This movie was fine. I thought it was pretty well acted and pretty well made. The only thing I didn't like about it is this not even emotional, like this is full on out cheating, not just emotional cheating, because she has a fiance. I don't think we ever meet the fiance, but we know that she has this fiance. And I just wish that they hadn't included that. I don't see any reason. I guess they think it creates more tension or something between them, but it just makes her look like not a very good person.
Yeah, that's always the worst.
Yeah. So I'd probably give it a 3.25. Essence Atkins plays her mother, and she's great. I always love her. But I just wish they hadn't had the cheating element. So you haven't seen this one, right?
I haven't seen this. I haven't actually seen any of the Netflix ones. I think that's what I might do tonight is start the Netflix ones.
Well, I would say at least watch Falling for Christmas. I think it was fun. Yeah. And okay, so what else do we got here? Okay, then we have Hip Hop Nutcracker. This is on Disney Plus. It stars Allison Holker, Boss, Stephen Twitch Boss, Reverend Cache Melvin. And this is like a long summary, but Run DMC Rev Run brings us along for hip hop reimagining of the Nutcracker Ballet set in New York City. I'll just leave it at that. I won't read the whole thing, but
read the whole thing.
What? Like it's as long as the movie, practically.
I know, it's so bad. It's like a chapter of a book. Look it up yourself.
But what did you think of this?
Yeah, this was like made for me. The only reality show that I've ever sort of kept up with has been So You Think You Can Dance, the sort of talent reality shows. Everything else I watch for maybe 1 or 2 seasons and then I drop off. But I think So You Think You Can Dance is so special. I feel like it's such a special place for artists. And I also feel like, you know, you have sort of your Nigel Lithgow, who is sort of the mean judge, but even though he was sort of the mean judge, he came from a place of, a dance background, and he always had something. Even if you didn't agree with him, he always had something interesting to say, or a criticism that sort of tied back into like, well, you could justify it with like he lived a dancer's life, so it wasn't just someone coming in and didn't have the experience to sort of back up the comments.
Right.
And every other judge was sort of either a dancer or had a dance background, or was involved in dance in some way. And the talent to come out of So You Think You Can Dance has been unbelievable. Like, people like Janine Mason and Twitch, who was on the Ellen Show for years, and they're some of them are working on Broadway, and a lot of them are working on Broadway. So yeah, just like the talent that has come out of it is mind blowing, and the actual show itself. They have these dances that are like 2 minutes, and it's like art. Like, they tell a story in 2 minutes, and it's just unbelievable. Like, every single show, there was always 1 or 2 dances where the artistry was just mind blowing for me. Yeah, this this was just made for me in terms of all of the people that they had. They had Alison and Stephen Boss, who's Twitch. They're married in real life. So having them as the parents was perfect. Yeah, I think there's sort of I think there's been many couples that have come out of So You Think You Can Dance, but they're sort of like the main one.
Yeah.
And I don't even think they were on the same season together. But yeah, just the amount of people. Like, if you like So You Think You Can Dance, like, this has like Comfort, Fiction, Alex Wong, Dominic, Yaya, like, has, and the choreography as well. A lot of the contestants became choreographers on the show. So you have people like Hawk and Dom and Tabitha and Nicole. Like, yeah, the list is endless in terms of
And Mikhail
the talent.
Baryshnikov for Sex and the City fans. He's on here.
Yeah, I love the way that they had all of the sort of modern dance. You can, just sort of put that as a blanket statement, because there's all types of dance in this special. But having him sort of come in and add this level of class was really special as well. But yeah, I really loved it. I feel like I'm not familiar with Cash. Is it Cachet or Cash?
Something
I'm
like
not sure
that,
how to say it. Yeah. Like, I don't think she's ever really acted before in anything I've seen her in. I feel like she's done a few things according to her IMDb, but I haven't seen her in anything. And for her to sort of have to carry this whole thing, because it's just music, there's no dialogue, and she has to carry the whole thing. I thought she did an incredible job. Yeah, and I feel like it's essential viewing for So You Think You Can Dance fans, but I would actually recommend it to most people. I think it's just a really unique thing amongst all of the other things that we're getting over the next couple of months.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that it was fun. The talent is incredible, but I wished I wasn't that impressed with the choreography. I wish, considering the talent, I don't know, I felt like it should have been better. I mean, I'm not a So You Can Think You Could Dance avid watcher, but what I have seen, the choreography is always really interesting and engaging. But I don't know, I just felt like it wasn't that good. There was a lot of standing around, moving their arms, not a lot of like really exciting choreography. Probably the best section was the part with Mikhail in there, and they were sort of flipping off between the Jabberwockies and the troupe and him, and that juxtaposition was fun. I just feel like it could have been amazing, but it was just like fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like for me, like, the only thing where I was like a little bit disappointed is I feel like Comfort should have, who was the sort of I guess sort of the one that was sort of puppeteering everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like her talent is so unbelievable that to sort of see her not do as much as I expected was a little bit disappointing. So yeah, that was the one thing, and also not really seeing her and Twitch together much, and they were like an unbelievable like pair on So You Think You Could Dance. So yeah, that was the only thing for me. But I feel like for me, like, yeah, just put this on in the background. It's,
Yeah. Well, what would you give it?
I'm going to give it a 3.75 just for like the nostalgia of like
Yeah.
the early So You Think You Could Dance days.
I'd give it a 3. It's also not that long. So if you're just looking for something different to kind of spice up your Christmas viewing, then this would be a good choice.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
So then we have 2 more left. One is Christmas at the Drive-In. It was on Great American Family, but you can also watch it on Hulu. And it's Danica McKellar, Neil Bledsoe, a property lawyer, fights to save her hometown's local drive-in theater, never imagining her opposition is the late owner's son and her first love. So this movie starts off really rough. The first 30 minutes, I swear, are all in city council meetings. Like, I've never seen a movie that has more city council meetings than this movie. And so that was very boring. But once they actually like got out to the drive-in and there's some like fun scenes between Danica and Neil, and I think they do have pretty good chemistry, then it starts to work again. So I'd probably give it like a 3.25. So because again, getting through that first part was boring. But then next we have My Favorite Christmas Tree, and this is also on Great American Family, but you can also watch it on the Xumo app. That's XUMO. So that was a new app I'd never heard of before. And it's Emma Johnson and Giles Panton. This is written by Shannon Latimer. So I was pretty excited for this because I really like Ghost of Christmas Past that she wrote. And I like Giles a lot. Kyla is a skilled genealogy researcher who's made a thriving business putting together family trees. When she comes across new information regarding her mother's mysterious extended family, Kyla and her sister travel to the charming town of Conifer, hoping to piece together their ancestry. The search leads Kyla to a generations-old Christmas tree farm, its stubborn, handsome owner, and potentially love. This one was pretty dry, I have to say. These, sometimes these researching movies can be pretty boring, and I'd have to say this one falls in that camp. And also, he is a Christmas tree farmer, and he never has a coat on this whole movie. It was so weird. Like, he has this vest on, like a puffy vest and long sleeve shirt, but no coat. I was like, where is your coat? Like, I'm sure it was filmed in like August, but you need to.
Yeah, it's so funny. I was looking at I was doing my normal sort of weekend thing where I look at all the sort of whatever they're filming up in, for Heartland, and just spoiling myself on all the Heartland stuff that's going on. And they had someone visit the set for Make-A-Wish Foundation. And Jordan, who plays Quinn on the show, he's busy back this season. I think most people already know that. But he's back this season, and all of the cast are like, it's so snowy there, and all of the cast, it's like they're wearing like duvet covers all around them. Like massive snow boots, and he's standing there in just his like jacket and like sneakers. I was like, he must be freezing. It's like he's so obviously like a city boy. It's like came up to film Heartland, and I'm like, you're not dressed appropriately, Quinn, please.
Yeah, you're just, it takes you out of the movie.
Yeah, it takes you out, but you're like, I hope that's not how you're dressed in the show, because it's going to distract me so much.
Yeah. But this one, I don't know. I just there she is kind of pushy, but she doesn't want he says, oh, you can interview my father if you want to learn more about the the farm. And she's like, oh no, I'm not, I won't do that. And I'm like, why wouldn't you want to interview his dad? And then he is so like resentful of having to run the farm. He has all these other things he wants to do, and he's kind of resentful and rude to her. I don't know. It was just, this one was just too slow for me, just my taste. So I would give this one like a 2.5.
Yeah, I think I'll skip this one. This one is actually on Paramount UK. If you're in the UK and you want to watch it, you can on Paramount UK. So yeah, I think I'll skip it, but
Yeah.
feel free.
I mean, I have to say, of the ones for Great American Family that I have watched on other services, they have all been really bad. And I don't say that just because I'm like a Hallmark fan or whatever. Like if they were good, I would say they were good. But
where are they? Are they like halfway through now, or?
They've got to be. Yeah, they've got to be at least halfway through, if not more so. Because I mean,
They don't have
started
a
at
lot
the
of-
end of October.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of time to win you over.
Yeah, I'm almost all of yeah, I mean, I don't know. Everyone that I've seen has just been so basic and have been just boring. Like that Cameron Matheson, Joe Wagner movie was just like watching paint dry. It was so dull. So that's just not for me. If other people enjoy them, that's great. But yeah, I think that they need, if they really want to be competition for Hallmark, they need to step it up a lot in the script department. Because this has just not been cutting it. What I have seen, I haven't seen everything, but yeah, needs work.
Yeah, I mean, even Hallmark, who have sort of recognised that while those movies work and while there's an audience for those movies, that a lot of the audience want other things as well. So they've been
Yeah.
so good at like recognising that and sort of
Yeah.
feeding at all of their audience, if that
Yeah.
makes sense, where
Yeah.
they're giving us like family dramas and love stories between, sisters and friends. And
Yeah.
so I feel like all of the networks need
Yeah.
to sort of take note of like, we want variety.
Yeah. I mean, I still think the Great American Family movies I've seen, I still think the first one that they did, Destined to Christmas, in which you can watch on, I think on Hulu or Tubi, one of them. Anyway, I still think that's the best one that they've done. It was the best story, but they've all been just so basic. And aside of me watching, I think, have I just changed? Have my taste changed and the story stayed the same? I don't know. It's hard to say, but that's I
Just
feel like,
expect more now.
yeah, I think maybe I do. I don't know, but there we go. We talked about all of the movies for this last weekend. That was a lot.
We'll probably have a lot next week.
Yeah, I think my favorite of the group of 14 movies is probably the 12 Eves of Christmas Eve, the 12 Days of Christmas Eve. I think that's probably my favorite, the Kelsey Grammer one.
Yeah, I feel like that one and A Christmas Spark are sort of tied for me.
Yeah.
For those.
Yeah. Well, let us know what you think, which one's your favorite. We would love to hear your thoughts, or if there's others that we didn't cover that you want to talk about, please do so in the comments. We would love to hear about them. And Michelle, where can people find you?
On Twitter at Michelle R. Benson.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. And then also check out the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave us your ratings and reviews. That really helps us a lot. 5 stars. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We just got over 5K subscribers, so we're so excited about that. And we also have the patron group, which is a lot of fun. And we've got some really good patron watch alongs coming up next 2 months. And we have our merch store where you can get lots of your presents for you get your shopping done for the Hallmarky You get lots of your shopping done for the Hallmarky, postable, hearty, whatever a Christmas loving fan in your life. You can get that at the merch store. So please take a look at that. It all helps the pod. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.